many groups, like musical groups, haven't been able to meet up. So many, orchestras, quartets, all these kind of groups haven't been able to meet up and play together. So I just think it's a great opportunity that people have this year to be able to do that. It'll just be really nice to see people.
It's great to have today's guest back on the show to talk about a very cool bass camp. I'm Jason Heath. This is Contrabass Conversations. We are talking today with Eleanor Martindale about this summer's RCR Double Bass Camp. It has happened a few years in the past. It sounds like a very cool event. They took 2020 off along with everybody for obvious reasons, but they are back August 16th to the 21st in the south of France. We talk about the event, some of the teachers involved. Sounds like a very cool time for sure. Quick shout out to our sponsors, Dorico, Upton Bass, and Ear Trumpet Labs. More on them later, but let's get into this conversation with Eleanor Martindale. Yeah, I got to play my first in-person thing last week, I think, and it was in Los Angeles, and it was one of those, like, I got off the plane, and 45 minutes later, I was playing bass quartets, like nothing had ever changed, but you could probably see my bass in the corner there from March 2020 till last week. That bass still hasn't left my condo, actually, because I was playing a borrowed bass, but it's been a crazy year. It's good to know that you've played a few times, though, this year.
Yeah, we managed to get it. Well, in France, there've been like kind of odd windows where we've been able to, like, things have opened up and then closed down again and then opened up again. So we managed to do, I think 3 concerts this year, which is kind of nice. It's been nice not being completely, out of it, but strange year still.
What does it look like for next season? Are people announcing like regular seasons, or is it still super up in the air? Or
people are starting to announce seasons. Like people are starting, opera houses and the big organizations are starting to announce kind of regular seasons with, looking at probably 70% audience or 50% audience, or we don't quite know yet. So indoor audiences are starting to be allowed now in France. They were allowed in Spain, which is, of course, just across the border from us for a while now. But that looks like it's going to shut down again because cases are going right up in Spain now. So who knows? Announcements that are made this week might be cancelled in 2 weeks. So...
Wow. Okay. So it's still, it was pretty grim here in the States, and California was like I think we were like we're one of the last to have some sort of reopening, but actually the last month or so, it's felt like remarkably like, the San Francisco Symphony where I live, they've got a full season announced, LA Phil, it sounds like. So I don't know if international travel's happening for us anytime soon, but
who knows? Yeah. It's just keeping your eyes open to see what the rules are for travel. This is the same for the double bass course in Perpignan. It's just a case of keeping your eyes on what the travel is like, what the travel situation is like, if there are any quarantines from the country that you're coming from into France. Everything's so up in the air. At the moment, things are looking reasonable in France for the summer at the moment. Again, things can change very quickly, but at the moment things are starting to open up. We have, restaurants which are open with indoor seating now at like half capacity, and concerts which are starting to be allowed in indoor rooms with some audience, and outdoor concerts are allowed with no restrictions. So we're starting to see a slight normality happening.
Okay. Well, it's good to have in person. It was so great. I did this Roboth Institute Los Angeles is what I was at last week, and then I immediately went to the Bass Institute, which is like kind of like a finishing school with some of the principal play, and it was so great to see people in person, and I've done my fair share of Zoom interactions over the last year and a half, and it's great to hear. Last summer, did you all just take the summer off? Okay.
Yeah, for the course last summer, so the students who were enrolled, we allowed them to roll over for this summer if they wanted, or reimburse them if they, if they weren't sure. But it was just too complicated last summer. We didn't have any clear view of what was happening really. So we just thought it was wiser to cancel it for last summer. So we have quite a few students who rolled over and who've kept their registration for this summer.
Good.
So that's great. Lots of enrollment. Obviously slightly more local this year than it has been in previous years, but we're still open to foreign students coming in. Obviously, keeping track of any international travel restrictions that might be in place, which depends on the different countries. But as far as we're concerned, all the health restrictions will be in place on site. So, we'll have any social distancing that needs to happen will be happening. If people need to wear masks, they'll be wearing masks inside, so all of this kind of stuff will be in place to try and keep things as safe as possible for participants. And hopefully things will be able to go ahead fairly normally, really.
Yeah. Well, regardless of what you got to do in terms of restrictions, it's just nice to be back together in person.
Yeah.
The LA event, we had the students were wearing masks and we were all spaced on that sort of thing. But it was great to get together and do warm ups and to do master classes. And I think everybody is probably a little tired of Zoom and online interaction. You could just see the students were thirsty for it. And then when we went to Indiana, it was everywhere were adults and it was all there were. It was like an event from 2019, and that was. I think everybody was treasuring it so much. Like you would have treasured it anyway, but I think people are just so thirsty for that kind of experience.
Yeah, completely. And particularly because there's been so much online teaching this year. So many groups, like musical groups, haven't been able to meet up. So many, orchestras, quartets, all these kind of groups haven't been able to meet up and play together. So I just think it's a great opportunity that people have this year to be able to do that. It'll just be really nice to see people.
When I was recently chatting with Gary and Eric of Upton Bass, I asked them, how did they do what they do? How do they build their presence and be so top of mind among bassists around the world? Here's what they said.
My ego doesn't want to say this, right? And Eric's won't like it either. But because of the timing, we couldn't do again what we've done.
Yeah. And what they have done is absolutely extraordinary. From their beginnings as an accessories shop online to now making over 120 basses a year. They're coming up, as I record this, on 1,700 basses. They've got an army of satisfied customers who bought multiple basses. They're just really doing great things. They do great work and stand behind their products. Check them out at uptonbass.com. And thank you so much for sponsoring the podcast, guys. This episode is brought to you by Dorico, the advanced music notation software by Steinberg. And here is Senior Product Manager Daniel Spreadbury on the challenges of designing music notation software.
I think one of the things about a music notation software is that it does so many jobs to do because it's serving such a wide range of users. Whether you're a high school teacher or you're a student or you're a composer doing concert music or you're doing a jazz chart or you're doing movie music or you're doing an audio mock-up for a job or a music -1 rehearsal track for your ensemble or whatever it is. The jobs to be done, they cross, this enormous horizon.
I am a huge fan of Dorico. I use it every single day. There's a free version you can check out that lets you do practically everything to 2 parts. So if you're doing exercises or bass duets or anything like that, that will meet your needs. And you can check out the other options as well. Dorico.com will take you there. And thank you so much for sponsoring the podcast. It's pretty great. It's like it was like riding a bike for me all of a sudden, and I'm so sick of I can't hear you. Oh, Zoom. Oh, it's not working. Oh, is your original sound on all this? It's just so nice to get together with another person. I think just there's a beauty of online teaching, of course, and you can connect and you and I are connecting halfway across the world. So there are obvious benefits. Yada yada yada. But boy, to just actually sit in front of a person and say, no, do this with your bow, do that with your bow, to get together and play ensembles again. It was pretty awesome. You could see the smiles on everybody's face. Yeah. These poor, the first camp especially, which were pre-college students. You could just see they here in the States. I mean, they've just been out of school the whole year pretty much, and so finally to get together and to do something, people were happy.
It's nice. It's nice to finally see people getting together and to be able to make music together as well. It's just great. Things are starting to open up. We're starting to see a little bit of normality return, and it is really nice. Yeah, it's great. So hopefully this will be a great event in August.
I'm sure it'll be a great event. And so I was just looking through who a lot of my favorite people are. Alberto Bocchini's there. I saw Tom Martin going to be there. I think I saw for the B. You had different slates of folks. It looks like I saw Valentina Ciardelli is going to be there. Who I think she's awesome. So you wanna talk through what people who's going to be there and all this kind of stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. So as you say, we've got 2 different levels, if you like, of the course. People can enroll on either A or B, which is what we've done for the past 3 years for the previous courses too. So A is more like a kind of music school level or professionals wanting to have some extra classes. People who have lower levels also can enroll in the A course if they want. There's nothing to stop them doing that. They might just get a little less from it, but they're absolutely welcome to. There's no exam or audition or anything to enroll. But there'll probably be slightly less kind of technical teaching, if you like. It's more about interpretation on the A course. So with A, the teachers are Thomas Martin, Giuseppe Ettore, Alberto Baccini, who are the three, super well-known teachers. And one who's maybe less well-known, but he's a great, great bass teacher, is Cédric Carlier, who's the teacher in Lyon Conservatoire. And he's the soloist, I think it's a Lyon Opera. And he's a really fantastic teacher. I love watching him teach. So 4 absolutely brilliant teachers. Any student will get a huge amount out of those 4. If you enroll on the A, then you get 2 classes with each teacher. So 2 classes with each of those teachers. And B, so the teachers is Valentina, who you mentioned, who teaches at Trinity Laban in London. And she's a great teacher, really dynamic bass player. And then Jean-Baptiste, who's running the course this year, and Emmanuel Massat, who's the bass teacher here in Perpignan. Who they were the team. They've been the team teaching the B course for the past 3 years. Lots of students are coming back to work with them because they really enjoyed working with them over the past 2 years. So they're the kind of individual lessons. So if you enroll in A, you'll have individual lessons with the teachers from A. If you enroll in B, you have individual lessons with the teachers from B. And then as well as that, there are also ensemble lessons, technique lessons, orchestral passage lessons. So the kind of big star teachers for the orchestral passage lessons is Joachim Arabal, who is the soloist at Barcelona, Delicio in Barcelona, who actually came as a student for the past 2 years to the Double Bass Camp to work with Giuseppe Ettore.
That's cool.
So that's really cool. And he's great. He's fantastic. He's a fantastic bass player. And again, really, really dynamic in Barcelona. And then there's Matthias Benzema, who's the soloist at Geneva, in the Chamber Orchestra of Geneva. Mm-hmm. And then Bernard Salle as well, who will be working with the ensembles, teaching ensembles, quartets, which is really his speciality. So that's kind of how the course will be organized, with individual lessons in the mornings, ensemble and group lessons in the afternoons. Everyone's welcome to take part in whichever ensembles or groups they want to. So, you can kind of pick and choose which ones interest you the most. And something that's a bit new this year, which Jean-Baptiste is organizing, is a kind of a false orchestral audition. So for people who want to prepare auditions for orchestra posts, there'll be a jury of teachers, and they prepare their pieces, they prepare everything they need to prepare, and there will be a public audition as though it's an orchestral audition. So to really get that preparation done. So that's really great for the higher level students who are reaching graduation, who are starting to get onto the audition process. They're setting up, there'll be an afternoon of fake auditions for those students to really, get into the zone of that kind of audition process, particularly at the end of this year where it's been so hard and there haven't been any auditions and there haven't been any orchestras and there haven't been any posts opening up. So that's going to be a really nice way to get people back into that kind of audition zone.
For sure. What year, remind me, what year did this start? Was it 2018?
I think it was 2018. Okay. 2018, the first year we did, 2018. Yeah.
Okay, and you've been involved since the beginning, haven't you?
Yeah, I've been involved since the beginning. Okay. So I'm kind of taking a back step now a little bit. I'm still helping out. But so Bernard started it. Bernard Salle started the course, and he's now handed over the reins to his son, Jean-Baptiste, who was teaching right from the start. And he's a great bass player too. And so Bernard and I are still kind of helping out on the sidelines, and I'm particularly helping with the English side of things, of course. And we'll both be at the course pretty much every day, I think. It'll be kind of nice seeing all the students, because there's quite a few students who came the first couple of years and they're coming back again. So they've become our friends, really. So I'm really looking forward to seeing some of the students again, meeting up with them again. And yeah, it's just a really great atmosphere. And it's kind of like a big family meeting up again. So even though I'm not quite so involved in the organizational side of things now, it's more Jean-Baptiste who's taken over that. It'll be great seeing everyone again. It really will.
This episode is brought to you by Ear Trumpet Labs. These are hand-built microphones out of Portland, Oregon, and they make an excellent mic for upright bass called Nadine. Barry Green got to try out this mic at our 2020 online bass summit where Ear Trumpet Labs was a sponsor, and he was singing its praises all weekend long. It's an instrument-mounted condenser mic with an incredibly clear, natural sound and great feedback rejection. It's durable and works with in-ears, monitors, you name it. Not to mention, Christian McBride, Barry Bales, and Missy Raines are all Nadine users. Whether it's classical, jazz, Americana, or bluegrass, this mic seriously delivers, and they're offering a free t-shirt, especially to Contrabass Conversations listeners with a purchase of a mic. Just visit www.eartrumpetLabs.com/contrabass to claim yours and check out Nadine. I am so proud to have my course with Discover Double Bass Beginner's Classical Bass out in the world. This was a long time coming, friends, and this course is designed, as the name implies, for beginner bassists who want to learn how to play classical music or for more experienced players who wish to revisit the foundations of technique. The course is comprised of 66 lessons over 4 hours and covers a wide range of topics on classical bass, which will make a real difference to you playing. It is the perfect course for beginners. I feel weird saying that since it's my course, but I definitely believe in it, to build a solid foundation of double bass technique and to help you feel confident playing. Many of the lessons include transcriptions of the pieces, exercises, and etudes, so you have everything you need to practice at home. I spent hundreds of hours putting this together over the last few years. I'm so glad to see it out in the world. We have a link to it in the show notes, or just visit discoverdoublebase.com/Jason Heath. Well, we have a similar, not the same, but similar camp here in San Francisco called the Golden Gate Bass Camp, and it's so cool to see over the years, like you're describing, people kind of become a family. There's a wonderful bassist named Megan McDevitt. I believe she started going maybe when she was in middle school or high school or something like that, and went through and then helped out during college, and then has come back as faculty, and it's cool. I was the organizer of this Roboth Institute down in Los Angeles. She went to the Golden Gate Bass Camp, back in college or maybe even before, and so it's kind of cool to see when people come together like that, and you learn so much. I think it's like you can almost get like a year's worth of learning in a week or a couple weeks. It's incredible when you get together like that, and I think it's probably all the more special after a year and a half of locked away and pandemic land. But
I mean, it's always really intense, isn't it? It's always surprisingly intense. I mean, I remember quite often students who've never done a course like this, they'll come and they'll say, "Oh, it doesn't look like I've got much on. I've just got 2 lessons in the morning and then an ensemble in the afternoon. It doesn't seem like very much." But at the end of the week, they're exhausted. And there's always more than that, of course, in the evenings. I haven't spoken about this yet, but there'll be masterclasses and courses in the evenings as well. So Thomas Martin will be speaking about double bass making, about lutherie, of course, which is his big specialty, as well as being such a great bass player. Jean-Baptiste, in fact, will be speaking a little bit about playing bass live, about looping, about different techniques like this, which he uses a lot in his videos. So he'll be doing a kind of a small masterclass, a little course on how to do that for bassists who want to play live or who want to create videos, online content. There'll be, of course, concerts, conferences. So every evening there's something going on as well. So it's pretty full on. I mean, people don't realize until they're there, and it's a really intense week. But everyone always finishes, and it's so fulfilling. I mean, by the end of the week, there's a couple of concerts at the end with the teachers and the students. It's just a really great week. It's a really fulfilling week for bass players. And I'm not a bass player, but I love being there and seeing how everyone develops over the week, seeing the different relationships that are built. It's just really neat. It's a really great place.
Yeah, for sure. Sounds like it. You're making me excited for my travels to that part of France one of these days.
One day.
Yeah. Remind me of the dates exactly.
So the dates, it's the 16th to the 21st of August this year.
Okay.
So the 16th to the 21st. So it's in Perpignan, which is right down in the south of France, right on the border with Spain. It's a great region. We always try and organize at least one free afternoon where people can visit the region, 1 or 2 after. We've managed to do 2 in the last couple of years. So they can visit maybe a a historical town and then visit the beach as well, or we'll try and have one evening at the beach or something like that as a kind of a little bit of downtime, because it's such a great area to visit too. And the course, of course, for people who don't know, it's in a French chateau, so it's a pretty great place as well. There are always places to practice in the park. So there's a huge park that comes with the chateau. And what I love about the week is just wandering around this like late 19th century park and just seeing bass players dotted around underneath trees practicing. It's really nice. So yeah, it's a great sport. Everything's on site. So the people who want to sleep on site, there's rooms where they can sleep. I'm not entirely sure about the sleeping arrangement this year. I think there will be single rooms this year because of COVID restrictions. But in any case, there were only double rooms. There weren't big dormitories in any case. It's just, 2 per room. So, and there's a restaurant on site as well. So everyone eats together, it's just it does feel like a kind of family, sort of family hotel almost, with a lot of double bass music in between.
Right. A lot of good photo ops with those bass players practicing outside. That's a fun, that's a fun imagery. Well, so it's RCR Double Bass Camp.com is the website, I believe. So, it sounds great. I'll make sure to link up to the site, and you're on Instagram and Facebook, I believe. And so I'll link up to all that good stuff.
Perfect.
Anything else you want to get out about it besides obviously it sounds like a great time?
Looking through my notes, I mean, a couple of other, well, of course, there's a pianist who's there. So there's Mathieu Anne, who's the pianist this year. He'll be there. He'll be on site all the time and be able to practice with all the bassists of every level, from like beginners right up to professionals. If they have pieces they want to practice with a pianist, he'll be there ready to practice with them. And who else do we have? Oh, there's Sven Erik Garson. I don't know whether you know him.
No, tell me a little bit about.
So he's actually he sells bows. He's a bow collector, and he has a big collection of bows. So he'll be there for a couple of days, showing off the different bows he has, so people can try out different bows from him as well. They can take a look, try out some different bows. So he's somebody new who will be there this year as well. And I think that's pretty much it. Individual lessons, group lessons, orchestral competition, in competition conditions, even if there's no prize or post at the end of it. Concerts, masterclasses, conference every evening in a great part of France with a great set of teachers. So you can't go wrong. Really?
You can't go wrong. In the south of France, hanging out, playing some bass, working with top-tier faculty like that. Chateau. Sounds pretty good to me.
It's been, well, the first couple of years we did great. We obviously had to have a break last year because of COVID, and coming back this year, hopefully even stronger than ever. There's been a lot of interest. We've got a lot of recruits already, but there are still some places left if anyone wants to contact. All the contact details are on the website, as you say, rcrdoublebasecamp.com. You can link up with us on Instagram or on Facebook as well. We tend to be pretty efficient at replying. So if you have any questions in any language, in English or in French or in Spanish, we're able to respond. Don't hesitate to ask any questions, or of course they can contact us through you as well. I'm sure you'll put if anyone contacts you, that you can pass it on.
You got it. Yep. I'll send people your way.
Perfect. We look forward to meeting some new bass players, and just having a great time actually seeing real people in the flesh in the south of France.
Eleanor, thanks for chatting. Folks, rcrdoublebasecamp.com will get you info, and links are in the show notes. Thank you so much for listening. I am doing these intros and outros in a weird way, and I'm still trying to continue my not editing these outros, so if I'm fumbling and bumbling and coughing and all sorts of stuff, it's just... Anyway, that's what's happening. I have managed to break not one, but 2 Zoom H6 recorders in the last month or so. So They're great devices for what I usually use them for, which is throwing them in a bag and bringing some mics and XLR cables and doing podcasts on the road. They have been good audio interfaces at home, but what I've discovered is if you knock them over with anything plugged in, I've at least had two break. I had the headphone jack plugged in, and I have it on a little bit of a selfie stick, but it's only like a couple feet off the floor, and I have carpet, and I had headphones plugged in, and I just tipped the device over and just went, ew, boom, and hit that jack and ruined the headphone out. So I thought, okay, well, that was on a Zoom H6 from about 5 years ago. And I thought, okay, well, it's lived its life. And a couple other things. The SD card wasn't always consistently being read. So it was time for a new one. So I got a new one, knocked the stinking thing over again. And this is always like 2 minutes before I do interviews. Knocked it over again, this time on the USB side, and blew out the USB on my brand new one. You know, and so luckily sent it back to Zoom. They're working on it. That's a very long way of saying I usually... And again, I kind of am rambling on these outros, if that's not obvious, but I almost always am monitoring myself with headphones on while I'm talking. I think that's really helpful for doing podcasts, that sort of thing, so I can hear my voice. I cannot do that now because I now have a Zoom that will not work as an audio interface, but I can use the headphones, and one that works as an audio interface, which I'm using now, but I can't use the headphones. So on all of these interviews, also coming up for the next month or so, I just can't monitor myself. So maybe I'm too hot, maybe I'm too soft, but that's just the perils of podcasting. So I'm thinking about getting a proper audio interface. I think that's a decent thing to invest in as a musician. I'm kind of deciding between like a Focusrite or something more dedicated to podcasting, which could be cool. It's probably not as versatile, but could be cool. I believe the Rodecaster Studio or something like that is what I'm thinking of from Rode microphones. So we'll see. Okay, I just talked a whole bunch about recording equipment, I guess. Oh, and then the other thing that's weird is I'm recording these on a Saturday. I almost never do this, but my friend and colleague and partner on this, Trevor Jones, is going on vacation, so I need to get these done in a hurry to get them in the queue. So thank you for listening, and I'd like to thank the team, Michael Cooper, Steve Hinchy, Mitch Mooring, and Trevor Jones. Mitch makes beautiful basses in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Learn more at... Pardon me, so I'm not going to edit, at MitchMooring.com. Sorry, Mitch. I'm your host, Jason Heath. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you again soon for more life on the low end of the spectrum.